First ever meeting between the two schools. Nate Oates and Randy Bennett sharing some pregame pleasantries. Hey, how you doing, Coach? Nate Oates looking to lead the Tide to their third straight Sweet 16. St. Mary's seeking its second Sweet 16 in program history, first since 2010. Tide rolling up the court, lob to Clifford Omori. Alley-oop, 7-0 run, puts Alabama up by 10. 2 minutes later, inbound to Chris Youngblood. Catch, shoot, three. Matt, that caps a 13-3 Tide run. St. Mary's missed 10 straight field goals over that span.
It was about at this point, ooh, that's a nice little kiss right there, that you knew it was not going to be St. Mary's night, just brutally overmatched on the offensive end.
Up 13 at the break. More Alabama. Mark Sears off the glass, then another lob to Omori. It's all Crimson Tide in Cleveland, Tim.
Yeah, 6 different Alabama players with double figures. It's tough scoring on St. Mary's. Alabama made it look easy.
Yeah, they force a turnover. They're getting all kind of buckets. There, Omori again. LeBaron Philon to Grant Nelson. And Matt, the knee looks just fine.
That's one of the, man, Grant Nelson had some incredible dunks this season. Knee looks just fine. Nate Oates and what he's done with this program is pretty remarkable. Alabama was not known as a basketball school for a long time, and here they are back into the Sweet 16 trying to make back-to-back Final Fours.
80-66 the final. Alabama advances to the Sweet 16 for the third straight season. Roll Tide.
All right, Nate, congratulations. How did you keep them at bay the entire second half?
Our offense, we got some transition buckets. You know, we were able to get our bigs on some lobs. I thought we got out in transition a little bit. I mean, they cut, what did they cut it to at one point?
9 points. Yeah.
Nine was, yeah. That was the closest. Yeah, they're good. They're tough. I mean, you know, I don't think anybody's played at the pace we play at against them. So I don't know what the possessions ended up being, but I thought we were able to get it at our pace a little bit more. I think it's the first time somebody scored 80 on them all year.
Yeah, 6 guys in double figures from there for you. Why is your balance such a weapon?
Yeah, I think it's hard to focus on anyway. I mean, he's the first team All-American. He's comfortable making passes, getting everybody involved. So, yeah, I mean, you look at it like our leading scorer had 13. We had 6 guys between 10 and 13. It's hard to focus on one guy doing that. Our team, our Mudita's been good this year.
BYU is next. Your thoughts on the Cougars?
Shoot. I mean, Kevin's done an unbelievable job this year. They play at NBA style. They've spaced the floor. We're going to have to really guard. They're good. You know, I've watched them a little bit because I was interested to see what he did in college, but I got to get locked in and watch a lot more.
Appreciate it. Safe travels to Newark.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Roll Tide.
So St. Mary's went 105 games without allowing 80 points. They give up 80 in the loss as their season comes to an end. It rolls on for Alabama, who got to a Final Four just 1 year ago. They'll play BYU in the Sweet 16 Thursday in Newark, New Jersey at the Rock. Prudential Center, perhaps the first to 90 wins that game.
Tournament. We're joined now by the Alabama Crimson Tide, 80-66 winners over the St. Mary's Gales to advance to the Sweet 16. Fellas, congratulations. Please raise your hand for a microphone to be brought to you, and when you do ask your question, please introduce yourself and your affiliation. Coach, we'll start out with a quick opening statement, and then we'll go to questions for the players first.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough team. We knew they were tough. You know, we got up on them 13 at the half. We knew they weren't going to go away. You know, they came out in the second half. They were scoring on us a little too much. You know, I thought our guys, though, did after they made a little run there. I thought our guys answered it. You know, we played well on the offensive end. For most of the game, we had too many turnovers. You know, they had 0 turnovers at the half. We were able to turn them over 6 times in the second half, which was big, helpful. We were up 10 on them on the glass at the half, and they're the second best offensive rebounding team in the country behind Texas A&M. We've happened to play both of them. Houston's obviously up there too, but you know, I thought our guys did a really good job. You know, Cliff had 8 defensive rebounds. He had a double-double, 11 and 10. I thought our guards did a pretty good job finding them. You know, we had 6 guys scoring double figures between 10 and 13. You know, I really want to. Sears is not up here, but I thought his energy, his positivity when he was on the bench with the 2 fouls, how hard he played on defense, even with the foul trouble, I thought was huge. You know, we had other guys step up and be able to score. I think it's tough to guard us when you get 6 guys capable of getting double digits, and that's not even counting multiple guys that have scored it well for us that didn't get to double digits. So thought we had great leadership tonight. Showed a lot of toughness. Said, the tougher team's going to win this one, and that's one of the tougher teams in the country. So really, our guys really stepped up and met the challenge there tonight.
Thanks, Coach. We're going to go straight to questions in the front row for the student athletes. We'll bring a microphone your way. Start on the right side.
Yeah, just for Grant or Chris, you guys kind of started off the night really strong, and that kind of gained more momentum as the game went on. Just what was the key to starting strong early?
Grant?
We emphasized that. We knew we had to come out. I feel like we've been slept on. There's a lot of people saying things about us, like we're about to lose this game. So, we knew we had to come out and bring energy, and I feel like the starting group kind of got us going, and then everyone came in and did their job, and I felt like down the line everyone had like a really solid game.
Alabama dunking all over St. Mary's. And, Matt, when you look at that game, St. Mary's really couldn't buy a three. They struggled from beyond the arc, and Alabama just overwhelmed them in the first half, enough of a lead to absorb the second half surge from the Gales.
This continues a trend that we've seen more often than not in the tournament so far, and that is the better seeded team getting out to an edge early and holding on throughout the course of 40 minutes. In fact, we actually saw this earlier on Sunday, and that trend broke when UConn actually made a threatening push against Florida. We saw it when Gonzaga made a threatening push against Houston on Saturday night. Here, just not the case. Bama's the better team. It's the deeper team. It's the better scoring team. We saw that the whole way, and it is an accomplishment to get to finish a game with an 8 in front of your winning score against the Gales. That rarely happens, and Alabama was able to do it. I was overall impressed by. Defensively, some of it was that, and some of it was, frankly, St. Mary's just could not buy a bucket from deep. But well-balanced effort, and Alabama into the Sweet 16 as expected, Tim.
Before the season, we're always asked to give out your preseason national champion. For me, it was Alabama.
Me too.
Ooh,
we'll
nice.
see if we're right, but I also had Alabama preseason #1.
Okay, but then in February, I had Auburn. And now in my bracket, I have Florida, right?
So it's like, I take back my fist.
But my point is, I thought Alabama had the tools. This game shows it. 6 guys in double figures. They shot over 50% from the field. St. Mary's, I did their game recently, and Randy Bennett told me they like to go 5 threes a game. I go, wow, it's really ambitious. The game I did, they actually only gave up 3. This game against Alabama, they gave up 7 made threes. And I picked St. Mary's in this game, and I said they just cannot go out there and have a bad shooting game. They went out there and had a horrible shooting game, 25% in the first half. There was a stretch over the last 3 games, guys. Now, they made 3 of their last 5 threes in this game against Alabama. They were 7 of 50 from 3 their last 3 games, including the WCC final against Gonzaga. So, against Alabama, you're going to have to score. They are going to put that kind of pressure on you. The Tide are great. I repeat, a great offensive team. Defense can be questionable at times, but, St. Mary's didn't make any shots, and it's pretty easy to beat a team that's not a threat from deep.
Before we get more on Bama, I just want to make one quick comment on St. Mary's. What Randy Bennett does is insanely impressive. I've actually never been to that gym in Moraga. Tim obviously has, and I've heard it from plenty of other people. You get to that campus, you go to that gym, it is a high school kind of gym. And for the fact that Randy Bennett continues to get St. Mary's into the tournament, winning the WCC with the Goliath that has Gonzaga in that league is impressive. But this is a program that does have a ceiling on it. Randy Bennett has taken St. Mary's to the tournament 11 times. It actually would have been 12 if we had a tournament in 2020. Only 1 Sweet 16 appearance in his time there. That was all the way back in 2010. So he does a wonderful job, recruits across the Pacific Ocean, brings some Aussies over aplenty. But because St. Mary's can't get that 4 seed, that 5 seed, that 6 seed in most seasons, it gets overmatched against a team in the first or second round. And Gales are a good team. They always have really good seasons. But this is a program, unfortunately, that has a ceiling on it under Randy Bennett. It's really good. It's better than the alternative of oh, they only get through every so often.
Yeah, but
this is just not a program that is equipped to make deep runs in this tournament.
I disagree with you because their 2 best players from last year's team both transferred. Aiden Mahaney went to UConn.
And what was he at UConn?
I know he's regretting that. And I wonder if Randy Bennett's going to take him back. And I spoke to Randy. He's open to the conversation if it's done in the right way. Because Aiden Mahaney played with Randy Bennett's kids. It'd be interesting. For Aiden's sake, I think he should go back and play. It's my own opinion. And then Joshua Jefferson. How good would St. Mary's be if they had those two guys? Now, their NIL budget went from $300,000 to $1 million. Golf clap. Pitt's budget next year is $7 million. Pitt in the ACC.
Incredible.
So, to your point, maybe you're right because they'll never have the money to do it, and maybe that's what it is. But a bucket list, I'm telling you. And you fly to San Francisco, it's a short drive, it's like 35 minutes.
Make it happen.
It's bucket list to go to that gym. It was really cool to see, but they didn't make any shots in this game, and that's why they lost.
Unfortunately, their 8th straight tournament appearance without reaching the Sweet 16. For BYU, their first Sweet 16 appearance since 2011 when they were with Jimmer Fredette. So it's BYU and Alabama in the Sweet 16 in Newark, New Jersey on Thursday, where Matt Norlander will be. He will be there. Look, I knocked BYU's football team this season, and I got flack for it, for not being ready in prime time. The game I saw against Wisconsin, they looked not ready for prime time. They looked like they were going to fumble that away.
But they won it.
I understand, but they looked like they were going to fumble that away late. Like the moment was too big. What did you think about BYU in that game and now their chances against Alabama, who's going to get up and down the floor and will not allow you to come back in a way like that?
Well, BYU can also get up and down the floor. I'm so excited for this game because I genuinely think there is a very real scenario in which the team that hits 100 first will win this game. These teams will get up and down the floor. Yes, BYU got a scare from Wisconsin, also an offensively inclined team, but BYU wasn't the better seed. It actually won that game despite being the underdog. So getting a game like that, getting a scare, I actually think was beneficial to the Cougars, who again are now in the Big 12. Alabama averages more points per game than anyone in the country. That's been true of the Tide 2 years in a row. The Tide made the Final Four a season ago. They're an even better seed this season. It's going to be a huge task for BYU, which in year one is to the Sweet 16. This program is ahead of the pace, not just because it's Kevin Young in year one. Next year, they're going to bring in probably the #1 NBA pick in 2026 in A.J. Debnza. And oh, by the way, the subplot to this, A.J. Debnza picked BYU over Alabama. Now these two teams are going to face each other in the NCAA tournament. Cool little off-the-court recruiting storyline, plot line, subplot there. But I understand what you're saying. Yeah. That Wisconsin gave them a scare. BYU making the Sweet 16 in the first year under Kevin Young with Richie Saunders and that crew, I think is mighty impressive. And that game could be epic. If both teams play to their potential, we could have one of the 3 or 4 best games of the tournament.
Totally agree. I think it's first one in 95. Like, this is going to be, Matt said this game could be in the hundreds. He's right. It's going to be fun. Alabama, they love going up and down. They like playing high-paced games. BYU's fun to watch. I love their chemistry. I love their connectivity. Igor Demin, if you have not seen him play, the pro prospect, he'll be the best pro prospect on the floor for BYU. And it's interesting because both these coaches have had such amazing paths. Nate Oates was a high school coach in his mid-30s. Like, picture yourself as a high school coach, and now all of a sudden you've been to a Final Four, right? You're competing to go to another Final Four. And then Kevin Young is the new model, I believe, is going to be across the NCAA landscape of NBA assistants running programs because they're more comfortable, NBA assistants, with this new model of a general manager, working contracts, doing negotiations, helping with recruiting. Like, Matt LaFleur told Greg Gard, yeah, I don't pick the players, I coach them. And for a lot of these old school coaches, they have a hard time relinquishing all the power that they've held on to for 15 years, 12 years, 20 years, whatever it is. So it's a new age out there. How do you make your sauce, Maddie and Akeem? I like mine a little spicy.
I like mine a little sweet. I like sweet sauce. I'm a big sweet sauce guy. This is going to be sweet into the Sweet 16. Alabama and BYU. See what I did there? That was a segue right there.
Oh, there's Nate Oates.
There he is. As Joe would like to point out, Joe Musso, just bring in like a solid jacket in there. Sometimes he goes a lot of houndstooth, a lot of
it's homage to former Alabama great coach.
I'm aware, Bear Bryant.
But no, it's not Bear Bryant.
Wimp Sanderson.
Yeah,
look
Wimp
at that
Sanderson,
right there.
Yeah.
And look who's on the full screen. TV jargon. Wimp Sanderson. He's only 2 wins behind Wimp. One of the greats there in Tuscaloosa for most tournament wins by an Alabama head